So your period app might be a narc. You downloaded Flo to track your cycle, not snitch on yourself. But now the world's most popular period app is facing a massive lawsuit for allegedly sharing users' most intimate data with Meta and Google. We're talking ovulation dates, pregnancy status, and even masturbation habits, served up to big tech without consent. And in a post-Roe America, where abortion is criminalized in many states, that's not just creepy, that's a legal threat. Let's talk about how a fertility tracker might have become a surveillance tool and why this lawsuit could change everything about women's digital privacy. Hi, I'm Evie, and if you're new here, well, it's lovely to meet you, and you should subscribe, because we do 5 videos a week about whatever's going on in the world. And you want to know the dates of all the biggest and weirdest news stories? Then yeah, you should subscribe. And if you don't want to know, then that's fine too, you don't have to. The lawsuit in a nutshell. Flo plus Mega equals big trouble. So here's the TLDR. If you use the Flo period tracking app between November 2016 and February 2019, congrats! You may unknowingly be part of a massive class action lawsuit. Yay! Just kidding, it's quite bad. It's bad. Plaintiffs are accusing Flo Health Incorporated of whispering your most intimate secrets, like when you menstruate, have sex, get pregnant, or even masturbate, into the ear of Mark Zuckerberg and friends at Meta and Google, all without your consent. Flo, naturally, says absolutely not. And Meta's response, basically, oh, who asked? We didn't even see your data, we were just standing here. But a federal jury in San Francisco is now digging into the drama to figure out who's lying, who's liable, and whether California's privacy laws were violated somewhere between cycle logs and corporate spreadsheets. And here's where it gets wild. There are 38 million people in this class. That's more users than there are people in Canada. And if every overshare counts as a violation, we're talking about damages ranging from, ooh, that's a lot, to Jeff Bezos would faint. In Flo's own words, the total potential payout could hit quadrillions. That's not a fine. It's a financial extinction event. How did this happen? This all started when a 2019 Wall Street Journal investigation found that Flo was sending sensitive user data, like whether you're trying to get pregnant, straight to Facebook without telling anyone. Flo later got smacked with an FTC settlement in 2021, promising to clean up its act and stop sharing sensitive info without clear user consent. Except the lawsuit claims that was not the full story. At the center of the trial is a bit of sneaky code called an SDK, Software Development Kit. It's embedded in Flo by Meta and Google. SDKs are like the app version of surveillance glitter. Once it gets in, it gets everywhere. Plaintiffs allege that this SDK allowed Meta to see app events like user entered last period date or user is ovulating. Meta claims that data was de-identified and totally harmless. But the plaintiffs say, girl, please, if it walks like a data grab and talks like a data grab, probably a data grab. Why does this actually matter, especially post-Roe? Let's pause and get very serious for 1 second. This isn't just some Silicon Valley screw-up or another boring class action lawsuit. This is dangerous because this data, your data, could be used to prosecute people seeking abortions in states where it's illegal. After the US Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade in 2022, reproductive rights became a state-by-state gamble. Some states treat abortion like a felony because they live in the 1600s, apparently. Not to be too opinionated, but I'm sure we all can guess my opinion. Just imagine, right? Come on. Prosecutors can and have subpoenaed app data, including from period trackers, to build cases against people suspected of ending pregnancies. Which, if I think about it too long, I get so enraged, it's actually, very scary. So yeah, when your period tracking app logs that your cycle suddenly stopped and then resumed a few weeks later, well, that could be interpreted as evidence of a pregnancy and maybe an abortion. If you think that sounds paranoid, just ask the Nebraska teen who was charged after Facebook turned over her DMs about abortion pills. That happened before Roe was overturned, so as you can imagine, genuinely horrific scenes now. Consent is not just a checkbox. Flo argues that users technically gave consent. Yeah, we totally wanted the zup to know when we're ovulating. They say that by agreeing to the terms of service, you gave your okay for the analytics and data collection. But let's be honest, no one reads the 30-page privacy policy with a hangover during PMS week. We all look at those pages and pages and pages of shit and we think to ourselves, I'm not reading all that. The plaintiffs argue that Flo buried the details and that users were actively misled into thinking their information would remain private. Here's how plaintiff Sarah Wellman tells it. She downloaded the app in 2018 while trying to conceive. The app immediately asked intimate questions: last period, cycle length, sex life, and she answered. She believed this was staying between her and her digital diary. Instead, she claims that data got piped straight to Meta's ad machine. According to the lawsuit, Facebook then used that info to serve her targeted ads. Imagine opening Instagram to see baby clothes ads because your period is late. Now imagine that ad being part of a criminal investigation. This whole thing is very awkward and very creepy. Here's what Flo and Meta are saying about it. Both companies have stuck to a pretty tight script. Meta's line is like, we never got any personal health data. Their attorney literally said, Facebook never even received plaintiffs' confidential communications, let alone eavesdropped or recorded them. Flo's line is kind of like this. We only sent depersonalized data like users' last period, known unknown. No names, no dates of birth, just vague blobs of info, allegedly. But here's a bit of a rub. California's Invasion of Privacy Act doesn't require the data to be tied to your name to count as illegal interception. And the Confidentiality of Medical Information Act could also apply, especially if Flo is ruled to be a health app, which very much seems like a health app. The companies are also trying to weasel out on a technicality, arguing users missed the 1-year deadline to sue. So apparently, if you didn't realize your period tracker betrayed you within 365 days, then tough luck. The Zuck knows when your period is now. Deal with it. Who's already settled? Several players in this saga have noped out early. Flurry, a defunct analytics company, paid $3.5 million in a settlement. Google reached an undisclosed settlement just days before trial. AppsFlyer was dismissed from the case in 2022. Bye, AppsFlyer. I guess it wasn't you. Now only Meta and Flo remain in the hot seat. Why this lawsuit could be a game changer. This trial isn't just about Flo, it's about whether modern tech companies should be allowed to harvest and weaponize our most personal data without truly informed consent. If the jury sides with the plaintiffs, it could set a huge precedent, one that makes it very expensive for tech giants to play fast and loose with reproductive health data. A win could reshape how apps are allowed to track, share, and monetize anything tied to your body. And if the plaintiffs lose, expect more of the same. More SDKs, more targeted ads, and more companies telling you your data is anonymized while selling it anyway. So should I delete my period app? Honestly, it depends, but probably. The burden shouldn't be on women to protect themselves from apps that were supposed to support them, but I suppose the burden is always on women all the time and everything. It should be on the developers and lawmakers to treat this information with the care it deserves. Sorry I wanted to know when it's safe to watch The Notebook without crying myself to sleep. Sorry. When you log your period, you're not just jotting down a date. You're logging a moment in your life. Maybe to track your fertility, avoid pregnancy, manage a condition, or just brace yourself for the incoming mood swings and snack attacks. It's intimate, it's personal, and really it should be private. Because in 2025, your uterus should not come with terms of service. And your period sure as hell shouldn't be up for sale. If you like this video, check out a bit of a deep dive I did into Mark Zuckerberg of what do you actually want, you freak? Why do you keep doing all this weird shit? And I figured it out. So check it out. Bye.